Hi, I'm Jackie Miller. This is David Reevely. We covered City Hall for Postmedia this week, and we'll be talking about a few of the big issues. David, Mayor Jim Watson introduced his traffic platform this week. What was that all about?
He did, yeah. He had an announcement on Sunday where he talked a great deal about what he says is one of the most important issues that he hears about at the doors, and that is traffic safety. People speeding, people cutting through residential neighborhoods, people gunning it through red lights, that sort of thing. And his platform is mostly about enforcement, and that's the thing that really stuck out to me. He wants to hire more police officers. He wants to hire more paramedics to help people who've been injured so that response times get shorter, hire more crossing guards, and install more red light cameras to catch people who are running them. The thing about this is that it's all about fixing things after the fact. It's about cracking down on people's behavior. And a thing that the city has not focused on, I think, as much as some people would like, is street design. We build streets wide. We build streets with, as straight as possible. We build streets like Hunt Club Road, which is essentially a divided highway, and people, when they're driving, and I'm the same way, and I'm sure you are too, you drive as fast as you feel comfortable going. And very often, that's faster than people ought to be going. We could build these streets more narrowly. We could build them with more on-street parking. We could make the crossings narrower with bulb outs, which is a thing that we've been doing to retrofit older neighborhoods. They're not all that expensive, but they are pricey. And if we build things properly in the first place, it's going to be much less of a safety issue. You've been spending a lot of your time for months now covering cannabis regulation, and it's been a big week on that front.
It certainly has been. The provincial government introduced its cannabis law, so it's changing a lot of the rules put in by the previous Liberal government. And probably the biggest change is that the cannabis stores, when the country legalizes recreational pot on October 17th, will not be run by a branch of the LCBO. Instead, private businesses will run them. So the province has said that municipalities will have the option of deciding not to have any stores at all within their borders. They can opt out by January 22nd. Or they could opt out and then opt in later, but they can't keep going back and forth. So this announcement was greeted with some alarm by some municipal politicians.
How come?
Well, partly because the province won't be setting any limits on the number of stores. The Liberals had said that initially there'd be 40 of the LCBO-run stores and maybe about 150 by 2020. Now, the stores that are privately run, there'll be no cap on the number. And also, the cities will not be given any opportunity to zone in order to control either the total number of stores or where they're located. And some of the municipal politicians are quite worried that we'll end up with marijuana alleys where stores will be clustered in certain neighborhoods. But the province has not allowed the municipalities any right to zone.
So this is quite a big change from the model that the province was talking about, just a couple of months ago.
It is a big change, although proponents of the private model say there's no reason to expect necessarily that all the stores will be clustered on one street. Right now we have illegal stores in the city, and they do tend to be clustered in certain areas. But once we have legal stores, especially if there's lots of them, presumably they won't all just be in one neighborhood. The other big change is the province gets to decide where you can smoke pot. So that was another change. The Liberals said, basically, you can't smoke pot anywhere in a public place. So you're restricted to using cannabis in your own home. The Conservative government is loosening that up a little bit. They're going to align the cannabis rules with the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, which means basically that you can smoke pot wherever you can smoke a cigarette. So that would include walking down the sidewalk. It would include parks. However, municipalities can pass their own zoning bylaws further restricting where you can smoke pot. So it's a little bit unclear right now exactly what will happen.
One of the other things that we've gotten updates on this week has been the light rail system, which, as we know, has already slipped. The city was hoping, first of all, to have it open last spring. Then it was in this coming November. Now it doesn't look like it's going to make November. City councillors got an update from their staff saying, well, we're keeping an eye on things. The Rideau station in particular, there's a lot of work to be done. There, on many fronts, actually, that station's in trouble. They're still waiting to get all the trains in working order, and they're still waiting for all the testing. So there is no new start date that anyone can look to, but November really looks like an extremely long shot.
Okay, so no estimate at all, really.
The closest estimate is maybe in the new year. I mean, sometime in 2019. John Manconi, who's the general manager of transit, says first quarter, but it could be as late as, potentially as late as March. They're keeping a close eye on it, but they have, we don't have a date for when people are going to be riding the rails yet.
I'm Jackie Miller. This is David Reevely. Join us again next week.